change up the mythology and the pantheon of characters to better reflect.
Elle est trop bien cette config, viens voir.
And inclusivity that our audiences want and that our audiences live in.
And you kind of touched on it already, Jim, but let's go to you, Greg. How do you feel
Yeah,
like the
assis-toi à ma place.
really informs the stories that you tell
Assis-toi,
through
tu vas.
TV?
I would say that when we started out just with Arrow,
D'ailleurs, on voit la def et tout.
years ago now,
Et c'est après tu mets la télé. Moi je mets le siège là pour jouer devant
it
l'écran.
wasn't our intention to
Regarde.
replicate what everyone had done
Bah,
so
pour ouvrir un
brilliantly
peu.
in comics.
Tu vois.
And it wasn't until the Flash
Mais
came
sont-
along
C'est pour bien fermer sans mettre les
tried
pieds.
in the pilot of the Flash to put the two of them on screen together.
Il y a des gens, je sais pas qui c'est.
Watching
Et
that
par-
first scene of the two of them together and thinking like, oh wow, this makes me feel like the DC books made me feel. Like
Pardon.
1 + 1 = 3. The other thing it allows for is the vastness. You really feel the vastness of each of these different worlds, and I think it adds to the importance of these heroes and the myth of them. And that's been really exciting. And again, the element of surprise. If the universe that everyone's constructing, the different showrunners and creators and directors, and obviously with Walter and Jim helping shepherd all of it, if it can go to all those different places and still be tethered together, I think just as an audience member, I want to show up and not know like who might I see here, and I think that's incredibly exciting.
Well, and I think it's something too where, we talk about comic book writers getting to play with the characters in different ways. Same thing on the TV shows where when you bring a character from one show into another show, those writers now get to play with that character or a different version of them, which I think the fans, myself included, have loved seeing on TV.
Yeah, that's a lot of fun for the actors. They love it when they play a villain version of themselves from another planet. Everybody loves to play a villain.
You face some of the greatest evils known to man, and you defeated them. If you think so highly of yourselves that you can defeat any threat that comes your way.
How do you feel about us?
And like you said, you weren't really thinking at the outset about getting to this place of Crisis on Infinite Earths and seeing all of that. Can you talk to us a little bit about just leading up to that and everything that happened before, and maybe like when you got to the point where you're like, yeah, this is something we really want to talk about?
Well, I mean, really it was so much of our motto behind the scenes was to try and create episodes and seasons.
Mais qui c'est qui me coupe internet? C'est ouf ça. Je suis en fibre. C'est un truc de ouf, Coco, hein. Je suis en fibre et ça fait 3 fois ça coupe. C'est incroyable quand même. Mais putain. Mais...
Tiens, mon bébé d'amour.
Mais c'est un truc de ouf. Ils m'ont coupé le bordel. J'ai dû trop charrier, Coco. Eh, tu m'entends? Ah, ça y est.
And Peter, spoke with Greg, and Greg graciously allowed us to do this at the last minute, very last minute, and Mark wrote dialogue at the last second, sent it over. It had to be kind of vague enough to not create too many expectations, but kind of solidify the fact that this is happening, that these flashes are both the Flash in different universes. And the cool thing is, Ezra's Flash was never named the Flash in the movies. He got his name from meeting Grant, who knew he was the Flash, and that's like so cool to have that introduction into the canon, right? And so that was it, and it came together at the last minute, and it worked out great. Those guys kind of improvised and the lines, and
They definitely improvised.
Yeah, it was touching and funny, and it was just a great moment. And then when it went live, man, people's heads exploded. And then I think,
well, there were a lot of people who worked on the show and had shot the episode and didn't know that it was in there. So they were watching. There were people that had been in the episode that were watching it live that night that wrote me and said, "I didn't know about this. Did you keep this a secret for me?" And I was like, "No, I wasn't. We just did it last week."
Yeah.
Is this cosplay? Oh, do you want a selfie, bro? I'm sorry.
We're not. No. I'm also the Flash.
Goes to the what?
The Flash?
Flash? Flash?
It's complicated.
Like your outfit. It seems
Freaking
comfy.
yours is pretty cool.
smooth.
Seems safe and
Breathable. Barry Allen. No! What does that mean? How can...
this should be impossible.
Attends, il y a un trailer de Flash.
Now?
You don't know about the.
Oh my god, don't do this to me. I don't know about the what.
Well, and kind of talk about that, Greg, because I know the crossover events are such a big to do anyway, getting all of the actors from all of the shows and the sets and everything working together at the same pace and timing, and then now throwing in the film piece as well. I feel like all of you guys, just from talking to you and knowing you a little bit, that you're huge fans. You're like, we'll do anything to make it work. But what was that moment like for you?
Well, I was honestly, I really do experience these shows just as a fan first, and so when I heard it, I just thought I would want to see that. I would want to see that, let alone be a part of it. And whenever anybody in this business is doing stuff from that place of like, how can we make this thing the best it can be, and how can we deliver something to everybody and that understands and loves these characters as much as we do, then the impossible stuff that seems impossible ends up becoming possible.
I think up to this point, we were the company was just organized in a way where TV was TV and film was film, and oftentimes DC and Jim was sort of the arbiter of like, hey, they want to use this character, using this character, and it became this like really weird situation where the fans they love the characters, they just want to see the characters, and this sort of opens the door for us to do more crossover, to really lean into this idea and just acknowledge the fact that there can be a Flash on TV and one in the movies, and you don't have to pick one or the other. You can love both, and they do both exist in this great multiverse. And I do think that moving forward, there's more opportunities for us to do things like this. And really, at the end of the day, it's about the fans, and I think the fans want to see it. And it gives us a way to sort of explore maybe some different stories and different ideas and use the medium in a different way than it's been used thus far.
We can just dive in a little bit more into the film, DC film. Walter, for you, what does the multiverse really mean?
What the multiverse allows you to do is sort of lean into this idea of you can tell just great stories and you don't have to really be as focused on it has to fit within a singular continuity. On one Earth, we have our Gal and Jason and Ezra version of the Justice League, and we can continue telling those stories. While on a separate Earth, we don't have to worry about the continuity. We can have a more grounded, real year 2 Batman and build out that world and not really worry about continuity, story elements, and et cetera. And so it's really kind of the best of both worlds and allows us to take advantage of everything that's great about what we've done and really allow us to sort of expand moving forward. And we're trying to keep it as simple as that. Like there is that one Earth, the greater Earth of sort of this existing Justice League, and then the beginnings of another Earth that is sort of happening at the early stages of New Batman. And then obviously there are outliers like Joker, which doesn't exist in either Earth, but that's okay. It's all part of the multiverse. Matt Reeves can continue to build out his Gotham, and he's got great plans to how to build it out and build it out in a way that's sort of innovative. And they announced recently that there's an idea of taking that Gotham and exploring it at HBO Max as a show. Like those are things that you can do because you don't have to worry about how that would impact Aquaman 2. How that could impact the Flash. So I think it just opens doors for us in ways that we couldn't have if we had to have a singular universe.
So let's get into some of the questions that we've got from fans. The first one is for you, Jim, from Van in the U.S. Now that Doomsday Clock has concluded, will we see any more of Alan Moore's comic characters crossed over with the DC?
Probably less on the crossover side. You don't want to dip into the well too often and kind of make it too regular thing that becomes too commonplace. You want to save it for really big epic storylines where you've got great creators like Jeff Johns who's able to come in and really deliver story worthy of that kind of concept. But we are, there's a spin-off, there's a Rorschach series that Tom King is writing. It's not like necessarily a crossover per se, but we are exploring more of the Watchmen universe. It's obviously that kind of second life with the HBO TV series, and so it's been kind of fun exploring that. But yeah, that's all I can share at this point.
The next one is for Greg from Saurabh Kumar Singh in India. The Crisis on Infinite Earth finale showed that the multiverse is gone, and there exists only one universe and one Earth Prime. But since other shows like Titans, Doom Patrol, and DC still goes on, is the multiverse actually gone, or is it recreated?
It's not gone. It's that was to really help us, sort of like the original reason for Crisis, when they were like, oh, we have too many worlds, let's start combining things for the purpose of the books. I think for the purposes of the CW, those worlds are now one. But off network is like being off planet in a different part of the multiverse, but it's still alive and flourishing.
The multiverse. Every existence multiplied by possibilities. And spread out before space and time in infinite measure. Civilizations rose and fell. And rose again across reality's grasping expanse. Life, a precious gift, persevering in the face of every obstacle. Until finally, the age of heroes was born.
Okay, well, the next question is for you from Sumit Day in India. Will we get more multiverse movies or even Elseworlds movies like Superman, Red Sun?
I think the possibility is there. It's not, it really comes down to, like I said, our focus is great stories. And so if we come across the right filmmaker with an interesting story that doesn't work within our existing timeline, and it would work as an Elseworld, we would definitely explore. Like you said, we're not currently developing Red Sun, so that isn't one of them. But it really comes down to when the right filmmaker or the right idea comes together. That's the beauty of multiverses. We can explore. We can go down the road and make the problems. But what we don't want to do is be in a place like you were saying, like it should be special. It doesn't. We don't want I don't think we want an Elseworlds movie every year. Like like it'd be much better for it to be a special film. And we also want them to be great. We want them to be special. I want to make sure that it doesn't just sort of feel like we're just cranking out a volume of different versions of these characters. There has to be a reason for it, and I think it has to be a reason that we're excited about, that we think the fans will be excited about. So, yeah, the answer is yes. There will be opportunities. That one is not one that we're going to.
We've got one more question for all of you guys. This is from Ryan Keller in the U.S. With the existence of the DC multiverse, how do you approach managing a wide variety of characters, stories, and universes for DC? And how will you work to help keep the audience connected with such a large variety of characters and stories? I imagine that you guys all have like a board somewhere in your house. It's like you open the doors and it's like the characters in the whole world connected with the audience. Any of you have that? If you do, please show us right now.
It's like one of those True Detective scenes or something where it's just like newspaper
yarn and pins.
I think that is the challenge. There's so many characters, so many versions that we have people with film, TV, within Berlanti's company. These are the assets we attract and try to make sure that there aren't inconsistencies and that we are constantly communicating between ourselves so that we deliver something that's satisfying and maybe paints a bigger picture. And now that this has been established, this multiverse across all of the content, I think there's going to be a greater need for coordination to kind of deliver even cooler surprises going forward. I just want to really thank and applaud Greg for really laying the groundwork for all this because they didn't have to do this. From what I hear from Mark Guggenheim, it's a crazy amount of work. And bringing all these people together to deliver something that could potentially be very confusing or complicated and being able to tell a story that's kind of derived from canon, it is an amazing thing. The fact that we've been able to do it year in, year out with different kind of crossovers and big events has been a real blessing, I think, for the DC universe. And it's kind of shown that it can be done, and that we just need to be on top of the storylines and where the characters are and how they're being used. And that's part of the job. And there's a lot of fun in that as well, because you get to really explore really deeply into DC characters.
When we were first pitching the idea of certain characters, there was a sense of like, okay, well, this was years ago, but like, oh, we might use this character in the movie space, so maybe we won't then use the character there. And I would say, well, I can watch an animated Batman, and I don't confuse animated Batman from the Batman in your movies to, something on a show. But it doesn't mean that we still don't have to warrant using that character. Certainly any kind of character with that kind of size and scope and that much meaning in the world like this. But so we want to justify our use of any character, but at the same time, ultimately, I think it's in the as we bring all of these characters into live action and to life, it's just so much more enriching and rewarding for everyone. To feel like, okay, the best idea wins, and the best version of the story is going to be what we're all really trying to serve.
In the past, there's been like, well, features might do something with that, so stay away from it. It could be years before that character ever showed up on the screen, if it even showed up on the screen. And it was clear to us that it doesn't make sense to hold that back from fans. Let's explore that. And by the way, if they fall in love with the character on TV and we do something in the movies 3 years down the road, all the better. Like, it's just a greater awareness for the characters. And so, for us, our board is much smaller because we have fewer things that we're working on. We have, within a movie, it's 120 pages and there's a handful of characters, whereas in TV, there's a bunch of other characters that pop up. So it's a little bit more straightforward for us. I think really Jim is the great sort of, he's the center of everything. So he has to know everything that we're doing features, everything that's happening in TV, and everything funnels to him. And I think that's great that we found this guy who sort of knows the world better than anybody, who can sort of look at it, kind of go, and come up and say, wouldn't it be great if Ezra showed up with Net Grant? And like, you don't get that without Jim sort of being sort of at the center of all this. So I think it's just a great collaborative team, and it's really just the beginning of what we're doing here. I think with just the stuff that we're working on now, the idea of the multiverse, and really HBO Max being this other venue for us to really start to meet in the middle. I think if there was that sense that TV was TV and film was film, Max sort of becomes this place where it's like it'll be our clubhouse. Everything will gather into that space, and we'll be able to explore different opportunities and cross back over. And I'm excited about the potential of all the things that we can do with DC.
Awesome. Well, I want to thank you to the three of you guys for taking the time to chat with me and all of the fans here in the DC fandom. This is such, we talk about different platforms for things, and this is a whole new platform for fans to get to experience the DC multiverse as well. So thank you guys so much. This has been awesome.
Thank you, Tiffany. That was amazing. Thank you so much.
The future certainly looks bright for the DC multiverse. I'm still not sure what I will look like on Earth 26, but I can't wait to meet me there. Now, if you're a big DC fan like me, then I'm willing to bet that you cannot wait for the Flash feature film to electrify the big screen. The good news is that you don't have to wait that long, because we're going right now with the filmmakers and the Flash himself, Ezra Miller.
Hello, fans around the world. It's me, Ezra Miller.
Can you just move out your hair on the left side a little bit?
You know, like this? I'm Andy Muschietti, the director of the Flash movie.
I'm Christina Hudson, the screenwriter of The Flash. I haven't spoken to humans in a while, so I'm going to be rusty. I'm Barbara Muschietti, the producer of The Flash movie.
I play Barry Allen, aka The Flash, in the upcoming Flash movie. And I love you, and I'm excited to be here digitally with you. Flash fact, if you go to the bottom of Andy Muschietti's Wikipedia or IMDb page, you'll see that he actually has a PA credit on the 1996 Madonna movie Evita. Must ask you more about that, Andy.
Telling the story of one of the greatest superheroes of the DC world is a challenge. The most important thing is that it gets to your heart. Growing up with Batman and Superman and Flash. There was an opportunity to reconnect with childhood experiences reading DC Comics.
Flash fact, DC Comics actually stands for Detective Comics. Comics.
The tone for the film, I think, is very much Andy's signature. He can jump from funny to scary to emotional really fast.
And it's also a time travel story, which I find very exciting.
Andy managed to put these tiny little DC Easter eggs into the It movie.
I like your glasses, Miss Vicky. You look just like Clark Kent.
I don't know about that.
One, he was vying for the job way earlier than any of us knew. Or two, while making the Flash movie, he discovered time travel for real, went back in time, and went to put all these things in just to mess with us. Either way, well played, sir.
You meet Andy, and you immediately can understand why he's the perfect choice for this movie. It's his compassion, his priority in this film of finding the heart of the story.
I'm also excited to see Andy's version of the Speed Force. He happened to have done some doodles that I may or may not have taken and kept. They're literally unlike anything you've ever seen before.
Flash fact, did you know that according to actual comic book canon, Superman is both a vegetarian and a Metallica fan? Which is, of course, impossible. But then again, he's Superman.
Batman lost his parents. Superman lost his planet. Harley Quinn lost her egg sandwich. But Barry, because he's got this ability to go back and manipulate time, he's the only one who can actually go and change his own personal story.
His mother was murdered, his father was trained and incarcerated, and all his journey from then was of a man trying to make things right.
And it sounds like a cliche, but script is everything. When I got to read Christina's first draft, I was just blown away.
The script has really captured his loquacity, his personality.
So you're fast. That feels like an oversimplification.
I fell in love with The Flash when I read Flashpoint. The combination of giant spectacle, action, and fun with this incredibly personal, intimate story of a boy just trying to save his mum.
He's someone who has the power of changing the events of the past, but by doing so can deteriorate the very fabric of space-time continuum.
The juxtaposition between his vulnerability and his immense power is really what's exciting about superheroes to me. Flashback. The hippopotamus is faster than the human being. Beware.
Every actor, every director, every writer brings something different to a character.
Barry as a character, and especially the way Ezra plays him, he's a guy with so much heart, so much humor. Spending time with Ezra is kind of like spending time with Barry Allen.
Really, I can feel his passion and his enthusiasm and his creativity.
He was born to play this role.
The first appearance of the multiverse in DC Comics is actually a Flash comic. Flash Comics number 123, The Flash of Two Worlds.
Time travel isn't simple. It's not always a straightforward case of go back and change one thing and another thing changes in the future.
This film is immensely important because if you look around at the DC universe, obviously we have all of these characters that exist within their own bubbles. We even have now multiple iterations of the same story. I'm Batman. I'm Batman.
Sound like a cool guy.
This movie, by opening that door that Flashpoint did in the comics, all of these stories and characters can start to collide. Hello?
This should be impossible now.
It's impossible now?
You don't know about the...
Oh my god, don't do this to me. I don't know about the what.
The cinematic multiverse is going to be born out of this movie. It's born out of Barry's story.
It blows our minds, the levels of possibility that exist within the context of this character in this story.
I can't wait for all of us to be able to sit down in a theater and enjoy these movies in the dark with a lot of people and with great snacks.
So obviously I don't want to spoil too much of the movie. I want you to be surprised when you see it. There's something that I can show you, a little sneak peek.
Oh my god. Oh, no, sorry, that's my fault. It was an accident. It's not my personal playlist, but that might have been my fault. Back to you, Andy.
So I'd like to share a couple of concept art drawings, and it's Barry Allen's new suit. As you can see, it's more organic. You can see light embedded in it. It has been built by his friend Bruce Wayne this time.
Flashback. The first ever Batman movie is actually an unlicensed Batman Dracula movie made by Andy Warhol with a soundtrack by the Velvet Underground. It's unreleased, but there's 39 minutes that have been recovered, and I highly recommend watching them. They're extremely strange.
There are so many potential crossovers in the multiverse, so many cool things that you could do.
I would really love them to do a two-hander with Wonder Woman. I think they would solve a lot of problems, let me tell you.
I'd like to see Game of Thrones crossover. Instead of all the months that it takes traveling from Winterfell to King's Landing, it would happen in 2 seconds. Barry Allen in the Iron Man.
I actually already have a weird behind-the-scenes DC multiverse crossover. My best friend growing up is Rob Pattinson's older sister. So I've actually known the new Batman since he was 2 years old and in diapers.
I would like the Flash to meet in the multiverse Nicolas Cage. Not the Nicolas Cage Superman that never was. I want the Flash to meet Nicolas Cage, the person in this world who I believe probably does have the ability to transcend space-time. It's a real proposition.
I also can't wait to hear more about The Flash. Thanks to Andy, Barbara, Christina, and Ezra. Fun fact, we all know there are several Flashes: Wally West, Jay Garrick, Bart Allen, and Barry Allen. Did you know when Barry isn't working to save the world as the Flash, he's working to save Central City as a police scientist? Okay, that's all for me right now. I'm going to turn this over to Jaden Rodriguez, and I'll see you back here soon.
G'day DC fandom, I'm Jaden Rodriguez from Australia, and I'm so excited to be here with you all. I just gotta say that being a total superhero freak that I am, I'm totally loving being part of this epic DC event. And you can't talk about superheroes without talking about the man himself, Batman. I mean, dude, can you imagine how awesome it would be to be Batman? In fact, if there's anything better than watching Batman, it's watching two Batmans, or Batmans. It doesn't matter. Let's have a look at this mashup of two fan-favorite Dark Knights who happen to reside in the opposite ends of the Bat spectrum.
Oh là là.
Terry, this is top priority.
Go ahead, Bruce.
Well, Wayne Power's Deep Space Probe is receiving an anomalous communication. I'm patching it into you now.
Is that you?
Clearly, that's not me, Terry. But apparently, it's what passes for me on this server.
Whoa! Who's the dweeb?
That would be Robin's counterpart.
No way! That's the Joker?
That's not the Joker. It's a Joker.
I don't know, Bruce. Your friend with the Liberty Bell hair said the Joker.
No matter which universe he's from, he's a vicious and deadly psychotic.
He's throwing fish at you right now.
One thing's for sure. This Joker could up his thug recruitment game.
Yeah, pick up a fish and start tossing already, slacker. Wait, is he stealing a fish? Oh, this has got to be the dumbest heist.
The fish snapping of the century! Careful, you don't...
Hey, swell costume, by the way, Bruce.
Terry.
Must have taken forever to get the iron-on bat symbol just right.
Terry!
To the Batmobile!
Oh, this ought to be.
Actually.
That ride's pretty sway, Bruce.
Don't let them catch you from behind.
What an odd thing to say. Hey, Bruce, I just noticed something about your cowl.
Again, not my cowl. But what is it?
Are the eyebrows painted on?
Don't be. Oh, no. They are.
You know, my great aunt does the same thing with her eyebrows. Totally works for Aunt Phyllis.
What the?
Now what's going on? Where's this?
I'm not sure. But whatever it is, it must be built on a hill.
Joker could really stand to run a comb through that wig, huh? Oh, easy, Boy Wonder. Let's not forget we're wearing elf shoes and support hose.
And who is he even shushing at this point?
What's with the 57 random telescopes lying around for no reason?
Vous n'en savez.
It's fishy here, Batman.
Hein?
The Gotham High girls volleyball team's gonna be ticked when they find out their net was stolen.
Actually, I'm not sure which is more disconcerting. His trap, or the fact that these two can't seem to find their way out of it.
How about a fish fry?
Ooh, fish fry guy here is angling for a promotion. Settle down there, fish fry.
Wait a minute.
What is it?
Look at the Joker. Is it my imagination, or does he
have a mustache?
Now that is just not right.
Wow, worst hot tub party ever. But on the bright side, Robin is already wearing his bathing suit.
I couldn't
Oh,
possibly
il a une
deprive
moustache, le
that
bâtard.
poor hungry clam of its dinner.
Hold up! That's a clam?
Very touchy. Oh, I wonder. What a succulent hors d'oeuvre you should make.
It really is quite unsettling.
Well, a giant
Javier Bardem. Bon, si tu me coupes internet à chaque fois que je parle, ça va pas le faire. Hein. Ça va pas le faire, mon gay.
Course, share some never-before-seen content with us. Check it out.
This is amazing. I'm so excited to be here at DC Fandom with all the amazing DC fans. As many of you know, the Suicide Squad is by far the most fun I've ever had making a movie. I am still working hard on it every day from morning till night, but we're having a great time creating something incredibly special for people. And I'd like to take this break now to take some questions from you guys.
Hey James, when was the first time you ever read Suicide Squad as a comic book? And who was your favorite character?
I read John Ostrander's original run of Suicide Squad. So I remember reading the very first issue of that run and falling in love with the concept, with the characters. I loved the movie The Dirty Dozen that came out back in the 60s. And this was like a super villain version of The Dirty Dozen. And I loved the character of Amanda Waller, who was so different for the time, in terms of being such a strong woman, but not kind of an anti-hero, but kind of bad, kind of good, not physically the same as everybody else you saw in comic books. And I just thought she was so cool. And of course, I loved all the characters and Boomer and everybody. And I just had a great time reading that initial run.
My name is Maja Kondlikar, and I'm a loyal DC fan, and I'm making this video from Taka Bangladesh. I have a question for James Gunn. Which DC character were you most excited to write about for the Suicide Squad movie, and why?
Meisha. I think the character that I was the most excited to write for was Harley Quinn. I've loved this character ever since Paul Dini first put her in animated shows. I think that there's a sort of chaotic trickster god nature to her where she's just always going off in random directions. And as a writer, that's a really fun thing to deal with because she takes you in places where you don't know you're going to go. So a lot of it was me writing for Harley, and a lot of it was Harley doing some of the writing for me during the Suicide Squad.
Hey, I'm Jay from State Farm, and setting aside the massive amounts of damage that you must have had the squad rack up in that one scene, can you confirm the number of crashes and explosions? No, asking for a friend.
Hey, Jake, I cannot confirm the exact amount of explosions and crashes, but I will say that we have about as many explosions and crashes in this film as in any film ever. In fact, the guy who did all of our special effects on this film, Dan Sudik, who has done almost all of the Marvel movies, great movies, says there are more effects in this film than all of those movies he's done combined. So we have quite a huge special effects explosion extravaganza for you guys.
You said Ostrander's run was influential, but what else inspired you to feature these under-the-radar characters?
That is an amazing question, and one I'm excited to answer because I actually had a long talk with John Ostrander, about this because he came and he visited the set, and I said I don't think of this movie so much as an adaptation of your comics. I think of this movie as a sequel to your comics, to your run in the comic books. What would John Ostrander be doing with these characters, if it was 30 years after he first started? And so I think that it has the spirit and the lifeblood of the Ostrander books, but I also like to continuously take in new supervillains, other supervillains who have sometimes been in the Suicide Squad comics over the years, but also a lot of, characters like Polka Dot Man and Ratcatcher, who have never been in the Suicide Squad, but who I just think are great DC villains who have something to offer and that we could have put into the movies. So that is where my biggest inspiration comes from.
Who were your favorite villains as a kid? And did working on this movie teach you anything new about these quote-unquote villains?
Wow, who were my favorite villains growing up? Well, I was a huge Batman fan, and I'm going to tell you who my favorite villain was, and maybe it's a little embarrassing, but I'm not embarrassed by it. It was Batmite. I loved Batmite. I thought he was hilarious and creepy as heck. So Batmite was definitely my favorite supervillain. And don't think I didn't think about putting the Batmite in the Suicide Squad, because I did.
I saw the set photos of the Suicide Squad and I absolutely love the direction of the movie. But is it true that Flora Ward is playing Javelin Man? And if so, why? Also, is Nathan Fillion playing Blackguard?
Hey, Milan. So, is Flula playing Javelin Man? Well, his name isn't exactly Javelin Man. But in mere moments, we are going to see who Flula and Nathan are playing in the film. And I'll give you a hint. One of them you got pretty correct, and the other one you didn't get correct. And there's a lot of people all over the internet who have theories about who people are playing, and sometimes they've been right, and sometimes they've been wrong. And so I guess we're going to answer all those questions in a minute. But I will tell you one thing, which is Flula Borg is the funniest guy in the entire world and incredibly strange. But he's become a good friend through all this, and he's a great guy. Nathan, of course, has been in all my movies. He's already been a friend. Here it comes, the time that so many of you guys have been waiting for. Who is who in the squad? You've heard a lot of the actors that are in this movie. You don't know who they're playing. Maybe you have some good guesses. Maybe you're right. Maybe you're wrong. We'll have to see. But here it is. Everything.
You know the deal. Successfully complete the mission, you get 10 years off your sentence.
Welcome to Task Force X. These are your brothers and sisters.
Dans mes valises, maternité, j'ai retrouvé ça. C'est la boîte de ton bracelet.
Viens voir. Les bracelets. Ah, d'accord. Ah, Harley Quinn, on la connaît. Ah, c'est Suicide Squad. C'est le nouveau Suicide Squad. C'est qui ça? Un marshmallow, regarde. Polka. C'est qui ces gens? Là, lui, j'ai vu avec des rats.
C'est dans combien de temps?
Alors, en fait, c'est 8h jusqu'à demain 19h. Il y a une vidéo en boucle de 8h, c'est celle-là. Après, tu peux la revoir. Tu peux t'inscrire avec un mail. Donc, je ne me suis pas inscrit. Et après, le 12 septembre, tu as le fandom. Tu explores le multiverse qui comprendra plusieurs univers où l'on pourra se concocter son propre programme à la carte. Mal compris.
Here we go. We are introducing the cast and the characters they're playing of the Suicide Squad. First of all, we have Idris Elba as Bloodsport.
Ah, Idris Elba.
John Cena as
John Cena?
Peacemaker.
Ah ouais, d'accord.
David Dastmalchian as Polka Dot.
Ah, regarde, c'est le mec le ouf dans Batman.
Jai Courtney as Captain Boomerang.
Ouais.
Nathan Fillion as TDK.
Oh putain, la moustache.
As Javelin.
Oh là, Magnum.
Really messed up Brady Bunch.
C'est quoi ça?
Daniela Melchior is Ratcatcher 2. Pete Davidson is Blackguard. Feeling Ing as Mangao.
Oh putain.
Michael Rooker, unfortunately, is Savant. Had to put him in the movie. I deal with the devil. Peter Capaldi as the Thinker. Sean Gunn is Weasel. Steve Agee is John Economos and our on-set King Shark.
Yes.
Alicia Braga as Sol Soria. Juan Diego Boco is General Presidente Silvio Luna. Real great guy. Joel Kinnaman is, of course, Rick Flag. Ella Davis is Amanda Waller. And, of course, Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn. Hey, everybody here! Together again!
Good.
Good. Are you excited to be a part of DC Fandom?
Yes.
We're excited. This is going to be great. Well, we're going to have some fun here. We're going to have some competition, which it's not fun unless there's somebody winning and somebody losing. And so I would like to have a couple of team leaders, and I think it only makes sense that we have the people in charge of the Suicide Squad, Viola Davis and Joel Kinnaman, as our team leaders.
Hey, team leaders!
Woo! And why don't you guys go ahead and let's pick teams.
Bloodsport.
Thanks, but thanks.
Definitely.
All right, I'll take my girl Harley Quinn.
All right.
Yay!
I will take Savant.
Oh, good for you. What a bad mistake.
That is a bad pick. That is. And you guys have scenes together, too. I can't believe you made that mistake.
I tell you, you just made a big mistake.
John Cena. I'll take John Cena.
I want to reassure you that is a horrible decision.
No, I already know.
I'm going to take my boy, King Shark.
Okay, I will take my man Boomer, Jai Courtney.
Yeah.
All right.
Ratcatcher.
Ratcatcher 2.
Two. I will take Flula Borg, the Jabber.
Yes. I guarantee we will lose. Yes.
Take Polka Dot Man.
Thank you.
Yes.
No. I'm gonna have to grab the Weasel.
Oh, good man.
That's not on Rooker's team. Yes.
The Weasel.
Yeah.
Is that everybody?
Out of names.
What about it makes me feel really bad.
Okay, there's left. Come on.
There's only
So
one
sad.
left.
It feels like high school, Kev.
Did someone?
It totally feels like high school.
This is what it was
Yeah,
like,
the
the
thinker,
basketball.
Yeah, the thinker.
Right idea.
I will pick the thinker.
Nathan
guys are losing already.
DJ.
Sol Soria.
El Presidente.
Okay. Yes.
What about Mongo?
Yeah, picked by Joel.
Yeah, thank you, Joe.
I'll respond.
Pete, this is sad. Victory cigarettes.
Oh man. Yeah. Okay. I was going to pick Black Guard. Okay.
That went well. I think that went really well.
And then let's start off. We're going to go head to head, and we're going to start off with the team captains. Let's do Joel and Viola. I'm going to pick. This is a good question.
Okay.
I know both of you know so much about the lore of DC Comics. There's a multiple choice, so you don't have to look terrible. Out of all the squad members, who are the only characters to have had their own comic series? There's two of them, and I'm gonna list four options: A, Harley Quinn and King Shark; B, Harley Quinn and Amanda Waller; C, Harley Quinn and Peacemaker; or D, Harley Quinn and Boomerang. Which two have had their own series?
Harley Quinn and Boomerang.
Harley Quinn and Peacemaker.
Boom! Yes!
Yes.
That's correct!
Wow!
Even look, even I knew that. Okay.
Man, it'd be awesome if it was, though.
Polka Dot Man.
Polka Dot Man! Again?
Mr. Sean Gunn.
Weasel versus Polka Dot Man. Old friends.
Oh, I want a softball.
There's no answer, and I don't.
¿Qué tal, amigos? Hola. ¿Cómo están? How are you? I've got a question. What career military man probably wishes he never followed in his dad's footsteps?
Joaquin, the great Cochi Loco!
Rick Flag Jr. I had Super Grover. Is Super Grover?
It's not Super Grover.
Wrong,
Rick Flag
Sean.
Jr.
You're wrong. Wrong canon.
Points for creativity?
Now, there's no multiple choice. You just got to answer right away, and you have to have it be the right choice.
Okay.
Who has more tattoos? Harley Quinn or Pete Davidson?
Harley Quinn? No, Pete.
Pete, Marvel gets another point.
I was thinking about his character. Oh, I thought we were shooting. This is a language. This is a misunderstanding.
That's always your answer when something goes wrong. Who's next?
The Bond.
Fillion, TDK.
What's the government's official code name for the Suicide Squad?
I thought it was the Suicide Squad.
No. Feeling's dying over there.
There's extremely.
Task Force X.
Task Force X. I can't say that even if I knew the answer.
You said it. You say it in the movie. Some of these are too easy. Hey, can we go to like one of our secret guest questions?
Hey guys, which team member would you sacrifice first?
Correct answer.
Yeah. Are you serious?
Is that what you said, Steve?
I said.
What's the answer, Jen?
I would have to go with Savant because he's played by Michael Rooker, and if anyone here has ever had to spend a day working with Michael Rooker, I think they'd probably have the same answer.
You know what? People are always like that. They always want to get rid of the most dangerous one first. Yeah, I understand where this is coming from.
All right, we're going to have Flula versus Elise. Oh, boy! Which character made his or her first full appearance in Superboy #9 in 1994? A. Mongal. B. King Shark. C. Bloodsport. D. The Thinker.
May I ask a question, Mr. Gunn?
Oh, no. Yeah.
When you say full appearance, does this mean like everything was exposed? Is it...
The character was not fully exposed. No, the character had some items of clothing on.
Got it. Then I would answer King Sharky.
I was going to say B.
B, King Shark. How did you guys know that?
No. Oh, I said King Sharky. That's incorrect. So
okay, so go to Elise.
Yeah, sorry. Jeopardy rules, guys. Pronounce it right.
Like not even to get.
Wait, he doesn't get that?
You can't just give away the point.
You can't give away your point, dude.
Why not? I give away snacks at lunch. Have my point.
Hey.
Even on your team?
Yeah, Flula's on my team.
What are we doing right now? What's happening?
He's not.
You keep complaining.
He's not on our team? Oh, never mind.
You're on Viola's team.
Wait, I'm not on Rooker's team?
No, I thought you were on my team too.
Oh.
But no, you're not on my team.
Okay. Wait. We have another special question. Why don't we do the last special question?
Hi guys, so now I have a serious question for you guys. I'm going to test your smarts. Who shot Superman? Was it J.R. Ewing, Peacemaker, Bloodsport, Amanda Waller? Let me know.
That is Storm Reed.
My daughter.
Which of your characters is in prison for shooting Superman?
Bloodsport.
That's correct. Bloodsport is in prison for shooting Superman.
With a Krypton.
Storm Reed turns in an amazing performance in the film, and some of the most memorable scenes, like really amazing in the movie. Really, truly.
What movie is that?
Oh, God.
Is there anybody left? Pete, who's left? Against two.
Flula.
Oh, great!
Oh,
Okay.
Flula!
Who would lose first, Pete? What comic book series did the Suicide Squad debut in? A. The Brave and the Bold. B. The Bold and the Beautiful. C. The Bravest of the Bold. Or D. Time to Die Hard. Yeah.
The Brave and the Bold.
Pete, it's yours. Pete, you did it!
All right.
Idris Elba, Bloodsport, versus Mei Ling, Manga. Okay, question. Which character... Question. Which character goes into the mission armed with the most weapons?
Bloodsport.
The condition.
What does that can do? He's got hundreds of weapons on it.
Well, it's just one weapon. It's polka dots. Bloodsport pulls off all the different kinds of weapons. The Mandel's weapon that he wears in the movie?
Oh, come on. He does not.
I was editing a scene yesterday, Idris, and I noticed for the first time that you're going up the side of a wall in your mandal. Yeah. But he always was, I guess he was always wearing his mandals in that scene.
Always.
Never noticed till yesterday.
Daniel, you always those mandals, don't you, Daniel?
Okay, who's next? if given the chance, which superhero would your character like to take down?
It's not about taking anybody down. It's about trying to bring yourself up. You know, spread some positive vibes. Cena for president after that answer. I'm going to vote for John, etc.
Which new addition to the squad was the biggest surprise to you?
I think Weasel was the biggest surprise. You're going to expect him to be this crazy animal. You can't even, I mean, come on.
Wait till you see Weasel in action in the movie.
How is the movie? How does it look?
It's amazing. It's amazing. Like, really, truly, it's just the most fun I've ever had. I love the movie. The studio is overwhelmingly happy with the movie.
Wow.
It's the action is great. It's funny. And it's really dramatic in the right places and very touching. It's great. And all of you guys, I mean, just down the line, it's just the greatest cast I've ever worked with by far. Just every single person is amazing. It's just a once in a lifetime thing for me. It was a blast to make, and it's just cutting together just completely fluid. Honestly, I'm so grateful to all of you guys, except for Rooker. But I can cut around them pretty easily. So
he's looking at me every day on the cutting room floor. They don't even do that anymore, do they? It's all digital.
They made it digital for you, so we don't even have to look at you on the cutting room floor.
I just got to say, what an amazing experience it was. And for both of you and all these guys, you know, the atmosphere on that set was so positive. It's such a warm, wonderful, supportive place to be. You know, not everybody has been in a big superhero, even if they've been Doctor Who or anything like that. So to walk onto a set like that can be quite intimidating. But the welcome that you and everybody here provided was just fantastic. So thank you and everybody here for that.
Leave it to the British guy to come in right at the end and say something beautiful that makes us all look stupid.
That's what I'm here for. That's why I'm called the thinker.
So the showdown champion, I believe, even though we haven't been keeping very good score, is Viola Davis's team. So you guys, right? I have a little something special in store for you, which we have you guys right now. And everybody out there in the DC fandom universe are going to be the first to see a little behind-the-scenes action from the Suicide Squad.
I think it's going to surprise people.
You kind of sit there and go,
How did they do that?
It's going to be different from any superhero movie ever made.
There's no one better in the world to direct the Suicide Squad than James Gunn.
I was excited with an opportunity to be able to do the Suicide Squad in the way it could be done from my point of view.
This one is completely unique. This is a gritty 1970s war movie combined with the brilliance of James Gunn's characters and comedy.
You need to direct it to set the vibe.
The Suicide Squad is just a twisted fantasy of characters.
Within each of our characters, there's a certain beauty. Within most of them. Some of them are just pretty crappy through and through.
Be like a douchey Captain America.
The guy who believes in peace at any cost, no matter how many people he needs to kill along the way.
Okay, I got it.
Don't ever settle back like you think you know where this is going, because you don't.
As soon as you have some sense about what's about to happen next, James comes in.
Everyone's exploding. Genitals, heads, arms, legs.
It's like a big, massive graphic novel brought to life.
This is by far the biggest movie I've ever made.
I don't think that you know what to expect.
Don't get too attached.
This has been truly the greatest, most exciting journey of my life making this film. That was great. So that was it. What do you guys think of that? New clip we just did. Anyway, I can't wait for everybody to see The Suicide Squad in theaters all the way in August 6th, 2021. We're still working on it, but man, I am so excited for everybody to see it. And I am grateful for everyone out there in the DC universe who came and checked out and hung out with us for a little while and saw this train wreck that would have gone perfectly smoothly if not for my fault. So, thank you guys.
Way to go, Viola and your team for the win! Ça va, DC Fandom? I'm Terry LTM, your French host, and I've got a big admiration for James Gunn and the cast. What a great teamwork! Now I'm even more excited for the Suicide Squad movie than before. How about you? Tweet us at #DC Fandom. And next, we have a very special DC fan guest with a question for Idris Elba. Gael, mon fils, take it away.
Idris, you're a sport fan. What kind of training did you do for your role in the Suicide Squad?
Okay, so hi Gael, Idris. So yes, I am a sports fan. I am a fan of all sports, but I played basketball, football, cricket, hockey as a kid, and then as an adult, I did kickboxing and a little bit of boxing. When I was training for this film, because there was a lot of work that we had to do, I basically didn't do a sport. I did a sort of general training package, which was more centered around my kickboxing training. So that's lots of circuits, lots of, cardio work, a little bit of weight training to get those big muscles up. And yeah, essentially working on that particular film, the work rate was so high, we were training every day on the job. So that's me.
Turns out Gael isn't the only tennis player who is a massive DC fan. Now let's check in with two other mega fans who, like us, share a mutual love for Wonder Woman. Tennis star Venus Williams and director Patty Jenkins.
Venus Williams, I'm so psyched that I get to meet you. It's amazing. It's so funny because here I am making Wonder Woman, and I'm constantly inspired by the different Wonder Women in the world, and you're like a quintessential one.
Thank you so much. It's so nice to meet you too. Congratulations. You look amazing. I love your style, but more than anything, I love your work.
Thank you.
Get to talk to you about it, so I've got questions.
I know, me too. So I love the fact, it's very funny because now has come this time that I'm getting to make the Wonder Woman film, but there are so many people like both of us who grew up looking at Wonder Woman, and I don't think that people understood the significance of who she was in the world. So I would love to hear, I'm so interested that you were a Wonder Woman fan too, and what's your history? How did you get into her?
Yeah, so for me, I grew up on Linda Carter, Wonder Woman, right?
Oh, yeah.
She was beautiful, and she could do anything, and she saved the world, and that, for me, was my first introduction to Wonder Woman, and it was so iconic. And then after that, actually, I was more introduced to Linda Carter as Wonder Woman, and then on to DC Comics. So actually, Wonder Woman was my first introduction into comics at all. And it really just started there.
If you had to create a superhero, what would you add to the party?
I gotta say, I was just talking to Jim Lee, and we created a superhero named, ironically enough, I can't believe no one thought of this, Venus.
That's amazing.
So this superhero, she is antimatter and, the monitor and the anti-monitor, so she's somewhere in between and lives in the space between matter and antimatter. We just started talking and creating this character, so I think that's it.
I love the sound of that. And I also love, it's funny that we've had so few, there are plenty of great female superheroes, but so few of them have risen to a huge amount of focus. And I like that adds this whole other thing to the party, like many other the male superheroes have branched out to all of these different dimensions. That's a great one to bring forward.
I think so, and I think in my head, to me, there's good and bad in her. So she's trying to always stay towards the good, but she has tendencies.
It's been interesting, kind of modeling power and grace and beauty.
qui est très une grandeur de soi.
Ma grande
Oui,
cousine.
une sorte de scène, une grandeur.
Non, mais Alice, là, mais pas. Pareil, un peu. Son ami de mettre famille et quoi, à aller chercher. Non, pour moi. Tu as pris la date de quoi?
Pour recevoir un carnet de feuilles.
Bah non, tu dois aller le chercher.
Ah bah, toi tu dis qu'il est coupé avant de recevoir.
La mairie plutôt doit nous envoyer un courrier pour nous dire quand est-ce qu'il sera dispo pour aller le chercher.
Mais c'est pas la mairie de Suède?
Non, c'est la mairie plutôt parce qu'on a changé.
Au début, c'est la mairie de Suède.
Oui, et j'ai prévenu la mairie de Suède. Qu'est-ce que c'est que ce truc? Il ne lâche pas, hein. C'est quoi ça? Mise en demeure de payer par un huissier de justice.
Comment?
J'ai une mise en demeure, une somme de 400 € d'un huissier de justice, je sais pas si ça existe, pour Orange Bank, qui me réclame un crédit échéance.
C'est chaud.
C'est chaud.
Mais quoi la tête du courrier? C'est pas un courrier d'huissier, c'est Zodiac. Je connais, j'ai l'habitude des courriers d'huissier. Sauf s'il y a des vraies infos, mais laisse tomber.
C'est chaud, comment ils ont mes coordonnées?
Mais c'est des spams, c'est comme ton numéro de téléphone, cherche pas, c'est des conneries, tu oublies. Tu déchires et t'oublies, moi c'est ce que je fais. C'est pour ça que je te dis, c'est sympa le courrier.
Mais c'est quel...
Mais la facture de fois, je disant que.
Allume la lumière.
Bravo. Je te prépare un lit?